Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back to another installment of the Growing with Soul podcast, where we explore the moments and stories that shape who we're becoming. I'm Marisol, and this is where I love to have real conversations about growth and self discovery. Whether we're diving into books that change our perspective or unpack personal experiences that teach us something new, this podcast is for women who are done playing small and ready to embrace their own journey. If you've struggled with putting everybody else first or battled self doubt, you're in the right place. This isn't about perfection, it's about the messy, beautiful process of growing into yourself. So come grow with me. We are 6 months into the year. It is July. Many of us at this point in time either have been or are starting to think about the goals we set for ourselves back in January. And maybe you're feeling like things have gotten away from you, like you're not where you thought you would be with your goals, and you're starting to think about like, okay, well, how did this happen? And what can I do to sort of recalibrate and get me back on, the right path, the winning path, the path to success? Um, and all valid feelings, definitely valid questions. And quite frankly, as somebody who has gone through that process quite a bit and tried a lot of different things when I found myself, not really sticking to my plan or things kind of going awry, I've come to truly realize that really the only way to recalibrate, to get back on track, is to sink further into yourself. So let me explain. At this point in time, when we feel like things have gotten away from us, we feel like things have gone awry, essentially, we need to ask ourselves three questions to really help us get back on track. And that first question is, why do we even want to achieve that goal? Like, why are we doing this? What's going on? What is the reason? And the reason why we ask that question is because we need to be connected to what we are looking to achieve. Like, how invested in this goal are you? And do you still now, 6 months into the year, have the same connection to this goal that you did back in January? You know, does it still mean something to you? Think about it. Like, why? What is your why for achieving this one thing? Second question, how are you going to feel once you achieve your goal? Sometimes when we're working towards a goal, it can feel like we're in the trenches. It can feel like the most tedious, laborious, just like horrible thing, okay, to work towards. And it's especially in those moments that it's even more important to remember your why. It's important to remember not just your why, like the reason you're working towards this, but also how you're going to feel once you reach your goal, once you complete the task, the project, you maybe overcome something, you shift something within yourself, and you achieve that thing you've been working so hard at. How is that going to make you feel? And the thing is, goals are so much more than just a task or a project that we need to complete. So often, the goals that we are working towards, especially if they are personal goals, is that they are very much tied to how we view ourselves. They are very much tied to how we view our lives. And often they represent how we're showing up in the world. They represent how we are showing up for ourselves, for others, maybe for our jobs, whatever it might be. But in a way, especially our personal goals, they are tied to our perception of ourselves. And that, as we know, is very much tied to so many other things like our self esteem, like our confidence, and that as well is interconnected with many, many things. So when you are in the trenches and when you are struggling and need to recalibrate and maybe have been a little bit delayed in the progress you're making towards a goal, and you're feeling a bit demotivated, a bit unmotivated, stop to think, how are you going to feel once you get to where you want to be? And that can be so fucking motivating. Third question to ask yourself in order to sink further into yourself and recalibrate to reach your goals for the remaining part of 2026. How are you currently feeling about your goal? And what can you do to make the overall process a more enjoyable one? Let's get real with this one. Is this goal something you still care about? Or are you just doing this because of the sunk cost fallacy? Like you just dedicated so much time already that you might as well just see it through, even though you don't really care anymore. Are you working towards this goal because for whatever reason you feel like you should? Not because you want to, but because somewhere along the way, someone told you and it stuck with you that you should do this. If this goal that you're working towards is still meaningful, but you're feeling some type of way about it, what can you do in your day to day to make the process more enjoyable and more meaningful? For example, if you have a very large goal that you need to reach by the end of the year, maybe instead of seeing that gigantic goal at the end of the finish line, you need to have micro goals, small steps that you can achieve and celebrate along the way. That way you're getting that sort of like that little hit of dopamine, instead of just feeling like it's this long, grueling process, you're actually achieving things along the way and taking note of it. And with that, how are you rewarding yourself currently as you're working towards this? How are you even tracking your progress? Because especially when you are working towards a larger goal and all you're looking at is that end product, that finish line, and you're not looking at the overall process or assessing the process necessarily, then it feels almost like you're not really getting anywhere, but you are. You're just not tracking your progress properly. So, how are you currently tracking your progress? And is there a more enjoyable way to do that? Another really important thing as well is, how are you talking to yourself throughout that process? For the previous question, I just talked about how our goals are so often tied to how we feel about ourselves, how we think about ourselves, how we perceive ourselves. And that is so much, very much tied to, do we even like ourselves? Because often when we are trying to, especially like New Year's resolution type goals, like they tend to be tied to things that we don't like about ourselves. So, and that can often lead to or come with a lot of negative self talk. So, as you're working towards this goal to change something that you want to be different about yourself, if we're talking to ourselves negatively throughout the process, obviously the process, the journey to achieve the goal is not going to be a fun one. And when something isn't fun, like how often do you want to do something that isn't fun? Come on. Never. You never want to do something that isn't fun. And if you're doing this on your spare time, on your downtime, how motivated are you going to be to keep working towards it when you're already tired from life, from work, from other responsibilities? But if you make it fun, if you make it lighter, if you make it more manageable, yeah, it's going to be easier to stick to. Ultimately, sinking into yourself allows you to ensure that you are working towards a goal that is truly aligned to who you are, as well as who and where you want to be in life. So take these 3 questions into mind. Maybe grab your journal and write out the answers to these questions to see where you are. And then let me know. Hit me up in the comments. You can even DM me to let me know what came about during this process when you've asked yourself these questions. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you made it this far, I truly appreciate you. If this episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and to like the video as well if you're watching this on YouTube. If you want to hear more from me, you can definitely follow me on my socials. And of course, if you are interested in getting support on your journeys to achieving your goals, you can definitely hit me up and work with me, as I am a certified life coach. And you can schedule your very own discovery call through the link in the show notes. Until next time, keep growing.